All right, let's talk about a team that's been there since the very beginning of Major League Soccer, a club that has completely reinvented itself over the years. Today, we're getting into the story of FC Dallas. So you've probably seen this logo before, right? The bull, the shield, the classic red, white, and blue. This is the FC Dallas we all know today, a team that's always a tough out in the Western Conference. But here's the thing. This wasn't always their look, not even close. The club has this really fascinating history of transformation. So that brings up the big question. How did a team that started out as the Burn become the club you see right here? Okay, so to really get it, we're going to walk through 5 key chapters. We'll start with their fiery beginnings in the Burn era, then cover their massive rebrand, the long chase for trophies, their shift into a legit talent factory, and finally, the culture and rivalries that fuel everything they do. It all kicked off back in 1995. The team got its original name, the Dallas Burn, which was a pretty direct nod to 2 things: the burning Texan oil fields and, you guessed it, the state's legendary hot weather. And they didn't waste any time making a name for themselves. Just a year after their first game in '96, they'd already lifted their first major trophy, the U.S. Open Cup. And by 1999, their striker Jason Kreis was the league MVP after pulling off something pretty rare, a 15-goal, 15-assist season. Just incredible stuff. And here they are, in action, back in '98. For all those early years, their home was the famous Cotton Bowl, just a massive stadium that saw all of the team's first successes. But after this amazing run of making the playoffs for 7 years in a row, the streak finally broke in 2003. Missing the postseason for the first time ever? Well, that was a pretty clear sign that something had to change. A new chapter was definitely needed. And that new chapter, wow, was it a big one. In 2005, the club basically hit the reset button. It was a complete transformation, creating an entirely new identity from scratch. And this just shows you how dramatic that shift really was. It was like night and day. On the left, you've got the Dallas Burn, and on the right, the birth of FC Dallas. It was a total overhaul. Let's break it down. The old fire-breathing Mustang logo, gone. In its place, the bull. The red and black colors were swapped out for red, white, and blue. And maybe most famously, they introduced those iconic Hoped jerseys that they're still known for today. Now, this wasn't just about looking different. They also moved out of that absolutely enormous 92,000-seat Cotton Bowl and into their own place, a brand new 20,500-seat stadium built just for soccer. This gave them a much more intimate, intense atmosphere and, a real home field advantage. So with a new name and a new home, the focus was 100% on winning championships. But as the club was about to learn, that kind of success, it wasn't going to come easy. 19. Just think about that. 19 years. That's how long the club and its fans had to wait between winning that first U.S. Open in 1997 and getting their hands on the next major trophy. That is a long time to wait. But man, was the wait worth it. Because in 2016, that 19-year drought ended in the most spectacular way possible. The team pulled off the double, winning both the U.S. Open Cup again and the Supporters' Shield, which is the trophy you get for having the best regular season record in the entire league. And the person who put it all together was head coach Oscar Pareja. And what makes this so cool is that Pareja wasn't some outsider. He was one of them. He was a former Dallas player, so he brought this really deep understanding of the club he was leading to all this glory. So winning was great, but the club's new identity became about more than just trophies. It became about a whole new philosophy, developing their own talent, creating homegrowns, and turning into a leader in youth soccer. And this quote right here just says it all. The FC Dallas Academy isn't just some local program. No way. It is known around the world for producing top-tier players who end up on the biggest stages in Europe and, of course, playing for the U.S. national team. And you absolutely know these names. We're talking Weston McKennie, playing for Juventus in Italy, Ricardo Pepi, who made that huge move to Germany, Reggie Cannon, Chris Richards. The list just goes on and on. This is the proof right here. They're a true talent factory. So why is this such a big deal? Because this focus on youth isn't just a smart strategy, it's become a huge part of who they are. See, a homegrown player in MLS is someone who's trained in the club's own academy. For FC Dallas, this created a sustainable pipeline that constantly feeds new, young talent into the first team and secures the club's future. And of course, you can't talk about a club's identity without talking about its culture. You know, the fans in the stands and the rivals they absolutely love to beat. FC Dallas has some really intense rivalries. The biggest, without a doubt, is the Texas Derby against the Houston Dynamo. And get this, they play for El Capitan, which is an actual Civil War cannon. How cool is that? They also have rivalries with the Chicago Fire for the Brimstone Cup and with another original club, the Columbus Crew, for the Lamar Hunt Pioneer Cup. And you know, culture is also about the things that stick around. The team's look has changed so much over the years, but one thing has stayed the same. The team's awesome bull mascot, Tex Hooper. He's been a fan favorite all the way since 1996, connecting that old burn era to the FC Dallas of today. So when you step back and look at the whole thing, it's just been this journey of constant evolution. They were born as the Burn, then they completely rebranded. They built themselves a proper home, finally broke that long trophy drought, and then solidified their identity as a world-class talent factory. So, from a fiery Mustang to a homegrown bull, FC Dallas has shown again and again that it knows how to adapt and redefine itself. But in a league that's always growing, always attracting bigger and bigger stars from around the world, you have to wonder, is being a talent factory enough to win them the one prize that's always been just out of reach, the MLS Cup?